You're listening to the Inland Talk Express, 1050 AM and 106.5 FM, KCAA Loma Linda.
Hello and welcome to the Real Men of Real Estate radio show. I'm your host, Patrick Franz, the Note Mentor. And when you tune into my radio show, you're going to learn how to build passive income and monthly cash flow to create true financial freedom. You'll learn how to invest in real estate without actually owning the real estate, folks. I mean, who really wants to deal with tenants and toilets and termites and all the terrible T's associated with being a landlord? So I plan to bring you amazing experts on the show each month so that you can get a well-rounded education about mortgage note investing, because I believe it's one of the best investment vehicles out there, folks. So maybe you can change your financial future, leave a better financial legacy, and that's what my show's about. So financial intelligence is what I preach, and note investing is what I teach. So thanks, folks, for listening in today, live on KCAA Radio, Real Men of Real Estate. So here's what we're going to do today, folks. I'm going to give you a little bit of information on what note investing actually is. If this is your first time hearing about it, one of the best investment vehicles, I think, ever invented. And so you're going to want to listen in and learn a little bit today. And also, I'm going to bring on a guest. Her name's Bethany Humphreys, and she is the owner of ACI Legacy Group. And believe it or not, folks, I had Bethany on the show once before. And normally I don't bring guests on twice, but boy, I got to tell you something. Bethany and her company, they've made strides, and they're going to be launching their own note investing due diligence company where they can help note investors like me, maybe like you, save a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of frustration in doing the due diligence to purchase the proper note. And Bethany's an expert at it, and she's going to give us some advice and let us know about her new launch and what kind of services she'll be offering to note investors out there in the world. And let me tell you something, folks, due diligence is, I think, more than half the battle in note investing, in all investments really, but notes is very detailed due diligence. Boy, I'll tell you, I call it the dirty work. And if anybody could get someone else to affordably do their dirty work for them in note investing and complete that due diligence properly and timely, I'm going to tell you what, folks, it is invaluable. Let's talk about priceless. Okay. Due diligence is hard. It's difficult. It's involved, and you don't want to mess it up because it could mean your money, honey. So anyhow, folks, let's get right into it. But before we do, I'm going to give you a little bit of insight. Okay. Myself and my guests on this radio show are not legal financial advisors. And we're not trying to give anybody investment advice, and we're not trying to solicit any investments. This show is all about the opinions and stories of folks that have had real life experience in the note investing world in one shape or another. And it's all of our stories and opinions. And so please, if you're going to take any information from this show and use it to make an investment decision, please seek out legal counsel before making any investment decisions, and make sure you do your due diligence properly and that you're making the right decision for yourself. Every investor's different. We all have our own criteria and our own risk tolerances. And so make sure you seek legal counsel and just don't take anything for investment advice from the show. Again, it's opinions of myself and my guest, and hopefully it'll teach you some things and help you learn some things and expand your mind. But again, seek legal counsel before doing anything with your money. And that's the key. That's the key. So let's get right into what note investing is. For some of you folks that may be listening in for the first time and have never even heard that term before, note investing. Well, let me give you an idea about what mortgage note investing really is. See, folks, when somebody buys a house and they have the cash to purchase the house, they just hand over the cash and get the deed signed over to them and the keys handed to them and the deal's done. They get to move in and everything's good. They don't even have a mortgage payment, right? Most folks around the United States don't have 100% of the cash necessary to go and buy a house. And so when you don't have all the cash and you're going to go and buy a home, a physical piece of real estate, you have to get a loan. And usually people go into a bank like a Wells Fargo, Bank of America, something like that, and they get a mortgage loan in order to buy that physical piece of real estate. Well, when somebody gets a loan from a bank, they fill out a document that's called a promissory note. This promissory note basically spells out the terms of how the money you've borrowed is going to be paid back. So on that promissory note, if anybody's ever bought a house or bought a car or anything else, you fill out a promissory note describing the debt, describing the money you've borrowed and how you are to pay it back. And so on that promissory note, folks, you may find things like, the day of the month that the payment is due every month. You may find the interest rate, otherwise known as profit, that the bank is charging you for borrowing their money. And, shucks, they might even have on there how much it's going to be for a late payment penalty if you pay your mortgage payment late and all sorts of those things. And so all of those rules of how you're supposed to pay the money back to them is listed in that promissory note. And, you can buy a promissory note or buy the debt on many different things. You could you could be a note investor and buy a note on a yacht. See, someone didn't have enough money to buy the yacht cash, and so they went and borrowed money, filled out a promissory note, and bought the yacht. Well, you can buy a promissory note on a yacht. You can buy a promissory note on a business. You can buy a promissory note on a car. But how about a mortgage note? The reason why we investors love mortgage note investing so much is because there's a piece of collateral that is backing that mortgage note. You understand, when a bank loans you money to buy a house, you as the borrower really don't own that house outright yet, do you? See, the bank has that promissory note, and until you have paid them all the money back properly by the way of the instructions of the promissory note, that house really isn't yours, right? So if you don't pay your mortgage, that bank has the right to take your house. Now, how did that happen? How does the bank have the right to take your physical property from you if you don't pay on that promissory note? It's called a mortgage document, folks. And best way I can compare it to people that haven't heard this before is it's kind of like the pink slip on a car. But the mortgage document is something that we as the borrowers submit to the bank. Misconception, we think that the bank gives us a mortgage, but we actually give the bank a mortgage. And what is this mortgage document? It's a document that we fill out that pledges our physical house, our piece of real estate, as collateral to that bank if we don't pay them back properly by way of the rules of the promissory note. And that's the fact. So, it's basically buying someone's debt. So we're collecting monthly payments from a piece of real estate, just like the banks have done for years, without having the liabilities or the phone calls from the tenants and those kinds of things that come along with owning the physical real estate. See, banks are good at owning nothing and controlling everything. It's a good position to be in. And so as mortgage note investors, we are purchasing the mortgage note from whoever holds it at the time, folks. I mean, you can buy mortgage notes from banks, credit unions, private sellers, fund managers. There's all sorts of folks that hold these mortgage notes in their portfolios and oftentimes need to liquidate, need to get rid of some of those assets. And if you're in line to buy them, you can take them over. So the point of the matter is, folks, mortgage note investing is taking over the rest of the terms of a promissory note. In the mortgage note investing world, it's backed by that mortgage document that pledges a physical piece of real estate as collateral for the terms of the promissory note. So as a note investor, folks, think of it this way. You buy a promissory note from the bank. You take over the rest of the remaining payments on that note. You start collecting a monthly mortgage payment with interest every month, producing that mailbox money, giving you that monthly cash flow, just like landlords want. But can you imagine not having to deal with the tenants, the cleanouts, the termite problems, the water heaters breaking, the phone calls from your property managers, and the reduction of your ROI? It's like I tell folks sometimes, I go, my goodness, I was in the home remodeling industry for 16 years. And I know how much we used to charge folks to put on a brand new roof, especially one that had damage. It's not cheap. And so I can only imagine those folks out there that are positively cash flowing $200-300 a month on their rental property. And all of a sudden, the roof gets in bad shape. It's time to get it done. And all of a sudden, it's a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 roof job that the landlord has to suffer. Well, folks, if you're making $200 or $300 a month of positive cash flow on your rental property, just calculate how long does it take you to collect that $300 a month of profit on that rental property to pay for a $15,000 roof. I mean, it just takes a really long time. And so, we're talking about getting rid of those headaches, getting rid of those worries, stop the bleeding, stop removing from your expected ROI because of calls, things that fail, roofing jobs, termite tenting, and all those things that you've got to deal with as the homeowner, right? So think about it. There's somebody who is the homeowner living in the house. Whoever's living in that house as the homeowner is in charge of the repairs. When their water heater breaks, they've got to fix it. When their roof needs to be repaired, they've got to fix it. All I am is their lender. Remember, I become the bank. I take the place of the bank, and now I own the rest of the term of that promissory note. And I'm going to get paid. I'm either going to get paid as agreed, and I'm just going to collect monthly cash flow for the next 10, 15, 20 years with a better than normal ROI, or I can get paid off early. And I'm not going to get into how these notes are bought at discounts, folks, but early payoff when someone refinances or sells the house is good for you as the lender because we buy these notes at a discount. And heck, they might stop paying. But remember, if they stop paying, I have the mortgage document that says I'm able to take over the physical collateral, which can also be good for me as the note investor. So it's all good, but I'm gonna tell you this, due diligence is the key to this investment category. And Bethany Humphreys is gonna come on and introduce herself right after this break, folks. We're going to be right back after a few minutes and a few words from our sponsors here on KCAA Radio. Back in a moment with the Real Men of Real Estate. Don't go anywhere.
Are you a real estate investor looking for a new opportunity in one of the top tourist destinations in the world? Look no further. Welcome to Punta Cana. Perla Bahia is a private resort-style community in Punta Cana that consists of modern condos, custom villas, and various commercial amenities. So if you're interested in learning more or joining us on one of our monthly investment tours, don't hesitate to contact me today at 909-494-2280.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Real Men of Real Estate.
Men of Real Estate Radio Show here on KCAA.
Boats, mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically, go to the radio station, KCAAradio.com.
You can find us on your dial at 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, as well as 106.5 FM.
Alrighty, folks. Hey, welcome back to the Real Men of Real Estate Radio Show here on KCAA. Patrick Franz, the Note Mentor. I am your host, and I am back with my guest who's going to introduce herself here in just a few short seconds, but her name is Bethany Humphreys. She's the owner of ACI Legacy Group. See, ACI Legacy Group is a due diligence company. And I got to tell you something, folks. To have your due diligence done by experts is having somebody else do your dirty work. And I call it dirty work because it is tough stuff, folks. It's time consuming. It's frustrating. And if you don't do it right, it can cause you some harm, right? It may end up losing you money. Now, I had Bethany on this radio show one time in the past. And as I mentioned, I don't like to bring the same guest on multiple times, but I'm doing it today. And there's a good reason why. Last time Bethany was on our show, her company had been hired and had been working for some professional note investors. I think she even did some work for a note investing fund. And, after a while, I believe Bethany figured that, more people could use her services. There's tons of investors out there, especially in the note investing world, that could use a hand, that could use an expert to help them dig through the tedious due diligence process and make sure that they're going to be making the right purchase. So Bethany, I'm so happy to have you on the show, and go ahead, introduce yourself, Bethany, to the audience, and just let them know why you think due diligence is so important.
Well, thank you for having me on here again today. I'm happy to be back on here. And my name is Bethany Humphreys. My company is ACI Legacy Group. And we do currently do services, our due diligence services for a private equity fund. And up until now, we've been pretty exclusive, just kind of keeping our services in-house. And for a while, ACI, we were purchasing stuff for our own portfolio. And so all of the due diligence that we do has really just been in-house, JV partnerships that we've been in, and, as of now, this private equity fund. But due diligence, to answer your question, obviously in any investment and really in anything that you do when it comes to making a big decision, due diligence is extremely important and very vital to analyze what it is you're going to be getting yourself into. But in particular with note investing, there's a lot that you need to look out for that could impact not only your investment, possibly losing money, but also that could impact your position as the lender. And so really that's why I tell people due diligence truly is the most important aspect, and it shouldn't be overlooked. It's simple, but it is detailed. And there's a lot that you need to look out for to ensure your security in that investment.
Talk about a lot. I mean, I remember when I first started working with you, years back. And I remember I remember your company, you guys had like a 25-point checklist or something like that. And this was like a list of things that you were going to make sure that you didn't leave that stone unturned, because those were things that were so important to take a real strong look at to make sure your due diligence was done properly. And I don't even know the number anymore. I've heard rumors, but you've expanded this 25-point checklist into some checklist that is audacious in number, right? So what's your due diligence checklist look like right now, just by number?
I'd have to say it grows all the time. So because there's always, not every asset we do due diligence on, we end up buying. And so sometimes we'll run into a situation that we've never run into before. And so that gets added to our list. As of right now, it's over 125. And so it's just 125 plus. That's just really where we're at. Because like I said, there's just things that come up, the unique situations that may be a one-time thing or maybe happen a handful of times, but could be detrimental. And so our list is very detailed and it is very elaborate, but it's very thorough to where I truly feel that our investments are secure when we move forward with them.
Yeah. Let me just make it real obvious to you guys, folks that are listening. They went from a 25-point checklist to a 120-point checklist. So let me just make that make sense to you. So Bethany, am I right to say that when you, and I know you on some notes, you don't use all the points on the checklist, but basically when you're going to do due diligence full through on a note investment, there's literally, you have a piece of paper next to you. It's got 120 items on there with check boxes next to them. And you're trying to go down and check all 120 items to make sure, again, you didn't leave any stone unturned. And let me tell you something, folks, this is why I call it the dirty work. Okay. Whoever wants to sit and go through 120 different points, different subjects that you have to look up and study and make sure are in line with your investment is really the dirty work. It takes forever. It takes a long time. It's very time consuming. It's very frustrating. And the experience is why Bethany's company has expanded their list from 25 points up to 120 points, because over the years, her team's probably looked at 10,000, 20,000 different note opportunities. And to comb through those and to put some through this 120 point checklist, folks, I'm going to tell you something right now. I don't want to do it. You probably don't want to do it. And you're going to need somebody like ACI Legacy Group. But, you know, it would be crazy. We'd just blow your mind if we started to get into what all those points are on the 120 point checklist. But if we were going to slim that whole big checklist down to, like, say, 3 of the major big things that you're really doing research on, what would those be?
Well, I would have to say, you know, there are primary categories, and then obviously within those categories, that's where the checklists really come into play. Number one, for any type of mortgage note that you're buying, it's going to be the collateral. So as you mentioned, when you're buying and investing in mortgage notes, you are taking the position of the bank. So whatever terms are in that note and in that mortgage, you need to understand fully, because you're going to be stepping into those shoes. And so the collateral would be the number one piece that you want to make sure you fully understand, even if you have to get an attorney to read through it with you, because you don't want to overlook anything. You don't want to agree to anything that is something you wouldn't want to have as an investment in your portfolio. So certainly collateral would be number one. I would also say that looking into the homeowner, the borrower, is going to be vital, because obviously they're going to be the person that's going to be paying you. So it's going to be really important that you understand who they are. Of course, in this position, it's sometimes tough to really get down and be specific on the borrower. But what's going to be most important is understanding, how do they pay? How do they perform with their payments? Because again, you're going to be being the lender. Are they going to be someone reliable that you can, you know, get your payments on time? Especially if it's a newer note, it would be important to see if, when the loan was taken out, is there a loan application? You know, are you able to find out if the borrowers are working? Are they in a position where they can pay you back? So all of that's really important for you to at least have an understanding of the borrower. And then the last piece I'd say would be very important would also be the property itself. So understanding the property value, the condition. Now, I understand when you buy mortgage notes, you're not buying the property. So some people may say, well, what's the matter with the property looks like? Well, just because you're buying a mortgage note that's paying on time doesn't mean that one day it might not anymore, right? I mean, things happen. People lose their jobs. People get divorced. Life happens. And so you may be put in a position that you may have to follow through with a foreclosure and get that property back. And so it is important for you to be aware of the value, the condition, so that way it's in a position that you are comfortable with as a investor, and something you would want to have in your portfolio and potentially own in the event the borrowers do stop paying you.
You heard it right here, folks. I mean, there's going to be 3 main things that you're really looking at. You know, at a high level, you're looking at the collateral file, which Bethany was talking about, is just a giant packet of paperwork that they send you when you buy a note. Because remember, we're in the paper business, guys. And so when you purchase this, you're buying this packet full of paper. It's called the collateral file. And that is important. That's what you're buying, right? If you don't want to buy a rental house that's missing a wall. Okay. And you don't want to buy a note that's missing an important document either. Okay. So the collateral file is one thing. Number 2, Bethany, you mentioned, was the borrower, and you're judging their character, right? Because that's the person who's paying you back the debt. And, you know, we don't necessarily check a FICO score, but we certainly want to look at their pay history from the last person that owned that mortgage note. And they'll be able to tell you if they've paid well or not. The other is the actual physical property, because it does act as your collateral. And so wouldn't you like to know the value and the condition of your collateral? Of course you would. And folks, she's broken that, her and her team have broken that down into a 120 point checklist in making sure that they leave no stone unturned when it comes to due diligence. And the slightest little thing that you may miss or overlook, Bethany, can be destructive to your investment, can't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, these are just the three primary areas that you want to look at. There's certainly a lot more, that needs to be put in, but these are the primary areas that, I'd say you want to make sure you look out for.
Now, crazy question. I know you have a team of individuals, right, with your business. You've built a great team and you have people in great places in your business that can help you get things done quickly and efficiently. Now, let's just say somebody, an individual, wanted to try to do what you guys do and do full due diligence on a note all the way through, let's say 120-point checklist and all that. Just give me a quick idea. How much time is really put into that? I mean, one note, someone's going to spend how many hours at their computer making phone calls, doing research, ordering title reports and these things? How much time is involved in just one note?
I mean, truly, it can vary on the quality of the asset, of course, but I would say, it takes hours. It takes hours because there are phone calls that need to be made. And a lot of the time you are put in circles. A lot of these reports and things that we get are really detailed that do require some expertise also, but also just a lot of time to make sure you don't overlook anything and that you truly understand what it is that you are analyzing.
That's
right. So it takes hours.
That's hours, folks, hours. And trust me, it is tedious hours. It is tedious hours. And so to have somebody like ACI Legacy Group and Bethany Humphreys and her team to help you do this dirty work is super important. And let me tell you, we're going to be right back after this break, folks. Don't go anywhere because Bethany's going to come back and we're going to hear how ACI got started and what they're going to offer out to the public where they can help folks like me and folks like you save hours and hours of time and frustration in doing this dirty work. So don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to be right back in a few moments right here on KCAA Radio.
Are you a real estate investor looking for a new opportunity in one of the top tourist destinations in the world? Look no further. Welcome to Punta Cana. Perla Bahia is a private resort-style community in Punta Cana that consists of modern condos, custom villas, and various commercial amenities. So if you're interested in learning more or joining us on one of our monthly investment tours, don't hesitate to contact me today at 909-494-2280.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Real Men of Real Estate.
Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA. Notes, mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically, go to the radio station KCAA radio.com.
You can find us on your dial at 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, as well as 106.5 FM.
All righty, folks. Thank you for sitting tight. What wonderful words from our sponsors. Yes, yes. We're back here on KCAA. This is the Real Men of Real Estate radio show with Patrick Franz, the Note Mentor. I am your host. I am back with my guest, Bethany Humphreys, the owner of ACI Legacy Group. They are a due diligence company. They do the dirty work for people like me, and that's why I love them. But we were just getting into, before the break, how much time, I mean, goodness gracious, hours and hours and hours spent on due diligence. And let me tell you, folks, due diligence is really being done so that you can try to convince yourself why not to buy an asset. So can you imagine hours and hours and hours of work and frustration and digging and looking things up and making phone calls to just convince yourself why you don't want to buy it and why you want to pass on it so you can go to the next one? It is tough stuff, guys. And Bethany, let me ask you this. when and how did ACI Legacy Group come about, and how did you become a due diligence company?
So we got started in 2018. And ideally, in the beginning, we started out, we were investing for ourselves and for our own portfolio. So ACI was purchasing our own stuff. And so I really wanted to make sure that I understood what it was I was buying. It's going to be in my portfolio. I had partners at the time as well. I wanted to make sure that the notes that we purchased were good quality notes that we wouldn't, lose our investment on. And so for me, it was a mission for me to make sure that we covered every aspect of it, and I completely understood what it was we were buying, and I identified any red flags or anything that may, make me not want to buy the asset. And so that's really how we got started in the beginning, was me just creating this list for our own portfolio. And so it's just grown, it's grown from there. And
so yeah, you have a couple of years in the business under your belt for sure. Started investing on your own, and then started working for a private equity firm and doing due diligence on a much higher scale, a much larger scale. And you had to ramp it up a little bit, right? And you started kind of by yourself, but you got some employees. And what's neat about your business is it's a family company, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So you put a couple of real experts in place to help you do all this heavy lifting. And why don't you give your team a mention and what their level of expertise is in your business?
Sure. So yes, when I got started, it was myself. It was myself and my partner at the time. And I was doing all of the due diligence, all of the behind the scenes. And we've since grown, and I've created, systems online. So no, we don't have a checklist, a physical one anymore. I've been able to develop good systems for us to keep track of notes and of contacts and of all of the tasks that need to be done. And in 2019 is actually when I brought on Sherry Bogacek. And so she is my due diligence expert. And I hired her because she has a background in underwriting mortgages. So she was a loan processor and an underwriter. And so I was like, she is the perfect person. That is just completely the perfect person that you want for someone who's going to be analyzing the mortgage. And so she already had a lot of experience. There was a few things I just needed to kind of catch her up on and, teach her when it came to mortgage note investing. But yeah, she's who I put in place as my due diligence expert, and she does incredible work. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah, guys, their team is just amazing. Great people to work with, and man, just so intelligent about due diligence. They've built these systems over years by way of experience. They didn't make this stuff up. They've made mistakes, and they've seen what can happen and put you in bad situations. And they keep on adding these things to their checklist so that they don't have to make the same mistake twice. Not only are they nice people, intelligent, brilliant, great systems, and they know their stuff. And Sherry is awesome. I've had some experience working with her too. Great lady, really does know her stuff. And what do you know? Many years as a mortgage underwriter, and it kind of slips her right into this perfectly, right? Perfect fit. So let me ask you this: with your team, what sort of services are you going to be providing to folks? Like, let's say there's a note investor who's maybe new, or maybe they're a veteran, but they just don't want to do the dirty work. And they bring you a note and they say, hey, listen, I'm considering this note because it kind of meets my investing criteria, but I need to do due diligence. Here it is. I'm going to give it to you guys. You do it for me and give it back to me. Done. What does that look like?
So basically, we're going to be rolling this out officially here in the next week or so. And the way that I plan on this kind of rolling out would be, yes, they would present us with just the details of what their asset is that they're looking to buy. And we're going to plug them into the system that we use for our own due diligence and for the due diligence that we do for the private equity fund. And that's going to be, again, going through all of the collateral, getting the various reports that we need on the title, on the property itself, analyzing the borrower, analyzing the seller that they're purchasing the asset from. I mean, we're going to do a full, due diligence review on every aspect of it. And we're going to be able to provide them with a report of all of our findings. We are not going to be giving, legal advice. Again, this is going to be their own personal preference, and I would always recommend to seek legal counsel, but we're going to be able to provide them all of the details that they need to know and be aware of so they can make an informed decision on how they need to proceed.
It's just so cool, man. It's so cool because I've been super confused with due diligence, right? And even just to get a collateral file digitally from some of these sellers of notes when it's just all gobbledygook, it's not organized. I mean, just to go through 100 different documents in a collateral file and organize them into their own areas how they already should be is just time consuming. It's crazy. And so, you know, guys, they're going to do it for you. It's the dirty work. But what I love, and thank you for letting me be a little beta tester for your summary reports, but I loved it where, guys, you're going to get full summary reports on everything where you don't have to dig through and figure it out yourself when it's done. It's full summary reports on everything, and it's delivered to you so clean and so simple, and boy, they are quick with it. I know that timing is everything. Sometimes these notes have to be closed on fairly quickly, otherwise people will lose the opportunity. And so, you know, people can hire some folks and attorneys and things like this for due diligence, and it is very helpful, but oftentimes it's the timing in which it may take too long and they may miss out on the opportunity. And so folks, ACI Legacy Group, quick and thorough, but again, they're giving you a report. Your job is to go through the summary report. If you have questions or concerns, ask the team and get clarification. And if it's not very clear, go ahead and seek an attorney's advice on that due diligence summary. But again, the hours and the time and the frustration to dig and get all this information in a clean summary report is really what their value is at ACI Legacy Group, guys. It's just amazing. So let me ask you, note investing is all about ROI. And I know that in due diligence, in which all note investors have to do on their own if they're not using folks like you, you're going to spend a little bit of money. You're going to invest a little bit of money in the beginning to do your due diligence. You have to order a title report. Some people order a BPO, which is a broker price opinion, and they send a real estate agent on foot in that community to go check out the collateral, right? Give them fresh pictures. This stuff is going to be an investment. It's not free. And so due diligence does cost a little bit of money. And I think the major thing here with due diligence, Bethany, is that time is money. Most investors understand that. Investors want to be sticking to their money-making skill sets. They don't want to have to sit and do much clerical work, and that's not what makes them the money. And so cost may be a concern with people, right? I was talking to you about this, and when we were going over the cost of your services, I'm thinking, my God, for all that you guys do and all the time you spend and how thorough you are, number one, your due diligence is priceless. But number two, the pricing model that you were coming out with, it just seems to fit the bill. I mean, from myself and being in pain, doing so much due diligence and spending so much time with my eyes bleeding from the computer screen, you said it was going to be just a couple $100 or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's very, very affordable for what it is that we're going to be doing. Yeah, and that's ideally what I really wanted it to be affordable, because due diligence is such an important aspect, and it's really important for me personally to make sure that I know what I'm looking at in my investments and I understand what I'm buying, and I want it to be available to others as well to feel comfortable to go ahead and pull the trigger. You know, I wanted it to be something that was affordable and be able to provide them everything they need to know.
Yeah. And folks, I didn't mean to throw my guest under the bus there on this one. I know she's launching, officially launching in about a week or two. And so I think she's still finalizing her pricing models and such. But again, guys, a couple $100 to save you just extreme amounts of hours and frustration, to me, is well worth it. But I've just been a note investor for several years now, and I understand the pain. So guys, their services are priceless, but honestly, there'll be a couple $100, and it depends on the asset, depends on how thorough they have to get and things like that. But definitely well worth it from what I've seen, Bethany, and especially with your team. I mean, goodness gracious, somebody like Sherry, who's on your team, she's priceless. I don't know what you pay her, but you better pay her good, right? So, and we talked about the time and effort people would save, but what is your number one, like if you could just extrapolate one, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but your number one piece of advice that you would give to a new note investor when it comes to the due diligence process?
Truly, I would say to find someone who can give them some guidance. Okay. A coach, a mentor, hiring someone like myself to help navigate, because I already went through all of the trouble of making my own mistakes and then learning from my mistakes and saying, okay, I won't do that again. That's going on the checklist. I've already been able to do that. And in an effort to avoid other people from having to do that as well, I would say, to find someone who can be a coach or a mentor for you, to help guide you through, so you don't have to make the these types of mistakes that could truly cost you money, especially as you're learning. If you're new, it could deter you from wanting to even pursue, because it can be a little scary sometimes when you realize that, wow, that was a jeopardizing mistake I just made. And they are avoidable. And so I would say, if you're new, to truly seek a coach, a mentor, a service, that can help you in the beginning stages, because there's people out there that have these things in place. They have the answers for you. Don't try to figure it out on your own from the beginning. And there's so much around you.
Yeah. And in fact, I'm really glad to be working in collaboration with ACI Legacy Group. Bethany, you were nice enough to put together a very, very extensive deep dive masterclass into your team's due diligence process. And so, like I tell people, if you want to learn and do all this due diligence on your own, Bethany created a masterclass where she gives all of her secrets, and you can find that at the noteinvestoruniversity.com. So go to noteinvestoruniversity.com and look it up. She has a master due diligence class there. You can purchase that class and you can learn how to do it all on your own. But I'm telling you, folks, if you get that, most of the customers that get that class, most of the clients that get that class, and they realize how thorough your due diligence is, they end up just thinking, oh my goodness, forget it. I'm going to let ACI Legacy Group do that. And so I agree. Trust me, I agree. And, when we come back from this commercial break, folks, we're going to talk about why Bethany has such a passion for helping people with this tedious due diligence process, and also how you can get a hold of her and her business if you want to ask questions or hire them for their services. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Are you a real estate investor looking for a new opportunity in one of the top tourist destinations in the world? Look no further. Welcome to Punta Cana. Perla Bahia is a private resort-style community in Punta Cana that consists of modern condos, custom villas, and various commercial amenities. So if you're interested in learning more or joining us on one of our monthly investment tours, don't hesitate to contact me today at 909-494-2280.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services, including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing, and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Real Men of Real Estate.
Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA. Boats, mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically, go to the radio station KCAA radio.com.
You can find us on your dial at 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, as well as 106.5 FM.
Hey folks, we are back. Thank you so much for being patient. I know that those wise words from our sponsors were very entertaining, but we're back with Bethany Humphreys from ACI Legacy Group right here on the Real Men of Real Estate radio show. I'm Patrick Franz, the Note Mentor, your host. And listen, we were just talking about the due diligence process in the note investing world and why it's crazy and how come it takes so much time, so much effort, and why Bethany and her team at ACI Legacy Group can help you, and they can do your dirty work and your heavy lifting for you. And I love it. I love it. And you love it too. I know that I've watched you grow in the space, Bethany, and you've really turned into somebody that has become passionate about helping other people out there in the public do the do perform the due diligence, right? Oh, by the way, I'm going to give Paige Ponzarello a shout out right there because I stole her do the do. I thought that was cute. But you do have a passion for helping people do this due diligence because you know how time consuming and difficult it can be. And give me a little bit of an idea of how someone like yourself becomes so passionate about the due diligence process in note investing and become passionate about helping others do that dirty work.
Well, like I said, when I had initially got started and doing the due diligence on this was for myself and for my partners. And it was really important for me that I didn't jeopardize my partnerships. I didn't put us in a position where they wouldn't want to work with me anymore. I wanted to make sure I knew what we were doing. And so over the years, since I started to develop our checklist, created really good systems, got, people like Sherry involved, I started to see that, okay, we have something really good working here, to where even with our private equity fund, we do due diligence on new builds, REOs, and mortgage notes. We're expanding and growing really what it is we do. And I've come to see, just from my experience, there are a lot of new investors in the note space that they don't know what they're doing. And especially working with, and being affiliated with the Note Investor University, I see all these people who are eager to learn, who are new. They don't know, exactly what they need to be doing. And so for me, I really want to share what I know, because I can see what can be detrimental in an investment if it's overlooked. I see the importance of it, that it really has just become a passion for me to just educate and help people and guide people so the way they don't make a mistake, because this is a big investment and the smallest thing could be detrimental. And I don't want to see people back away from this investment due to sloppy due diligence work, because mortgage investing is a fantastic investment vehicle, and people should just understand how to do the due diligence proper.
Yeah, and I know from experience too that some people want to get into note investing and find out how tedious the due diligence process actually is, and then say, oh goodness, forget it, it's not for me. And I would hate to see that happen, because people are going to miss out on a great opportunity just because they don't want to sit at their computer for 10 hours and do due diligence. That's right. Where you come into play, and that's what you have a passion for, in helping people do this. I'm so glad that you decided to collaborate with the Note Investor University. At the Note Investor University, we teach people how to become professional note investors. There's an option at the Note Investor University for everybody. And one of the things we do there at the Note Investor University is we have these a la carte, what we call deep dive master classes. And we have a few of them that cover different sorts of subjects, but the one that's the most important, and I must say, Bethany, the one that's probably the most well done is the one that you did on your due diligence process. So folks, again, let me tell you, if you want, you can just head right over to the noteinvestoruniversity.com. You can pick up Bethany's deep dive masterclass on due diligence. She doesn't leave any of her secrets unheard. She shows her whole 120-point checklist and all of the things that her team does to do full due diligence on a note. So you want to learn it, go ahead. You can buy the masterclass at Note Investor University. Go to the noteinvestoruniversity.com, pick it up and learn it. Now, most of my experience, and Bethany and I kind of laugh about it a little bit or snicker about it all the time, is that a lot of the folks who have decided to take our due diligence deep dive masterclass have just simply had an eye-opening experience, and they have figured out that due diligence is extraordinarily tough. It's extraordinarily time consuming. It can take all day sometimes. I mean, heck, I remember Sherry telling me she's been waiting on hold for 2 hours with some county or some city department or something like that. And who wants to sit and have their phone just waiting on hold for hours to get an answer to something? And so it just is amazing how hard your team works. And folks, I've had most people say after watching her masterclass, forget that. I'm not doing all that. That is crazy. That's too much. That's too time consuming. And, I'd take the easy route and just hire ACI Legacy Group and their team to do the dirty work for me. Why do I want to do it myself? And it's such a great opportunity that you're giving people. And so let's just get right into this, Bethany. If someone has questions about your services, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
So right now, I would say email would be the best way to get in touch with me directly. My website will be launched this upcoming week, where we'll have all of the details and more in depth of our services there. But getting in touch with me right now would be by email.
Great. What's your email address for the audience?
So my email is Bethany, so it's BETHANY at ACILegacygroup.com.
That, folks, is Bethany at ACILegacygroup.com. Bethany at ACILegacygroup.com. And that is her email address. So if you have questions about note investing, if you have questions about primarily note investing due diligence, and even more so how you might be able to hire Bethany and her team at ACI Legacy Group to do your dirty work for you, right? That's what I love. They'll do it for you, and they'll give you a full summary report on their 120-point checklist. Invaluable and priceless, but only going to eventually be a couple $100 when she finally finalizes her pricing model. And so, folks, again, Bethany at ACILegacygroup.com is how you can email Bethany and ask her any questions that you may have. So, Bethany, a few more seconds here, but in closing, what's your piece of motivational advice for people that want to get into note investing?
So my motivational piece of advice, I would say, if you're looking at mortgage note investing as an option for, something in your portfolio and it's something that excites you, but maybe you're nervous, truly, I'd say just pull the trigger and just do it, because it truly is an invaluable investment. It's high, great ROI with collateral. It's a fantastic investment vehicle. It's the only thing that I invest in personally myself right now as well. And I think very highly of it. And I think that, don't allow your fear to get in the way of a really great opportunity.
You heard it right from the mouth of the due diligence expert, folks. It's such a great investment vehicle. Get yourself in the game. Learn about it at the noteinvestoruniversity.com. Go check out Bethany's masterclass on due diligence and become a master and start creating passive cash flow and financial freedom for yourself. Thank you so much, Bethany, for being my guest. Once again, you're beautiful. Your company is awesome. And I know you guys are going to do great. So, folks listening, you go ahead and have yourself a wonderful rest of your Sunday, and I'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Inland Empire, for listening to KCAA.